Let's get started with the ingredients, shall we? So we've got some funky fields mince, we've got corn, black beans, tomato paste, courgette, red onion, and of course a red capsicum or pepper, whatever you want to call it. And this is the seasoning that I use. So it's by Culley's. It's got no bad ingredients in it. It's also vegan. I love this. I know it's got plastic packaging, but this is for people that are in a rush, right? I just finely chop up the vegetables, and so that it's obviously using the smallest sort of serving that you can to make sure that this is a lot more easy to eat, because obviously you're going to be scooping this with chips. And with the red onion, again, you just chop it nice and fine. You can go even finer with this if you like. I just quite like my style to be a little bit more chunky, but not like too unreasonable. I add in 2 tablespoons roughly of oil to a pan, have that on a medium-high heat, and then I just add in the mince here now. And what I like to do with this, because obviously this is not made using animal products, it doesn't crumble in the same way, and it has the tendency to kind of stick together. The flavour is amazing, but you just do need to focus on making sure that it's nice and broken up. So I have this on setting 7, so our oven top goes up to a setting of 9, so this is definitely medium high. And so you can see like this has started to get nice and brown, so this is when I add in the red onions to make sure that those go nice and transparent, because you want to make sure you're not biting into any raw onion, because that is just disgusting, I find. I do continue to break up the rest of the mince whilst I'm doing this as well. You can do this in the previous step, it's just whatever works for you. I just find like if there are any bigger chunks I want to get rid of, this is the point that I like to break them up. So whilst that sautés, I have already rinsed and drained my black beans, and to make sure you don't get like gassy or any tummy issues, make sure that your beans are actually properly drained, because if they're not, then that's how you can get indigestion issues. And so now I add in 3 cloves of garlic. It's always important to make sure that you obviously take the skin off the garlic, but then also you don't add the garlic in too early, because that's when you can actually get that burnt taste, and it just goes really nasty and almost rancid tasting. So I like to add this in once all of the other ingredients are cooked through. And now this is my favorite thing. This is my microplane. I've literally had this for 7 years. I've used it pretty much every single time that I've cooked. It's amazing. And you just make sure to finely grate in all of that garlic, and this is where you really get those beautiful aromas going all throughout your house, and people will definitely get excited about the food you're making. So always be careful with your fingers, and then make sure to get the rest of that goodness off the back of that microplane too. I drop the heat at this point and add in the beans immediately. I haven't even stirred through the garlic yet. This is obviously where it's a bit more challenging to film, as I'm trying to do everything all at once. And you just stir through the beans and make sure that that is all broken up. You make sure that there's no lumps of garlic around. You finally disperse it throughout the whole mixture. And obviously with that lower temperature, it's actually going to make this a lot more easy to saute the rest of the vegetables, which is what we're just adding in now. I just literally add in everything else, because I find that in particular with courgette, you'd want to make sure that that is a bit more cooked, because I find that that can get a little bit nasty if you haven't cooked that through properly, myself anyway. So these are the chips I like to use. They're just the corn chips. I can't use any flavour for me because I'm actually allergic to MSG, so I just use the salted ones. And the most important thing is that you actually lay it in a design where there's no gaps, because obviously otherwise your nacho mix is going to fall through. Then we add in around about 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. Again, you don't need to worry about doing this too early in the game. As you can see, our vegetables are getting nicely cooked, and that is the exact point that you want to start adding this in. And you just stir it in just nice and evenly. You don't have to toss this around. It's really the most simple thing to do. Just make sure it's evenly spread throughout the whole mixture, and then I just continue to lightly stir this until it's actually all cooked, as you can see from this. It's very, very nicely done, and this is where we add in the corn, because with corn you only need to actually heat this through, because obviously you can't eat corn at the stage it's at from the can. Obviously you drain it first, because we're not just savages here, and you just stir it in. You just want to make sure that corn is at the same temperature as what everything else is, because as you can see when I'm stirring this through with all those beautiful colours, these wonderful fresh vegetables, it's actually all looking nicely cooked. This is when you add in your seasoning. Again, I just really like this burrito run for whenever I do nachos like this. They don't have a nacho one, they've got taco, they've got a few other ones. I just really like this seasoning, and of course because it doesn't have any of those caking agents, it's really easy to just stir through everything. I know that everyone's got a problem with single-use plastic, but this is again one of those things that if you are in a rush and you don't know how to do exact quantities of everything, you don't have all of the spices that you need, I just wanted to do something that's a lot more approachable. And obviously you still don't need to actually cook this at all, you just stir it all the way through and then you just put it literally on top of your chips. So this is just for us 2, so that is actually an extra 3 servings, or 4 servings actually. And the cheese I like to use is a Zenzo. This is the cheddar and I love this so much. You couldn't tell when you look at this screen right now that this is vegan cheese now, could you? And it tastes just the same. It's so good. I love this cheese so much. It's actually become like one of our favorite things. Obviously I was at the end of the block, so that's why I've got a few of those big chunks, but I ain't gonna waste that. This is our leftovers. So what I've done, and you'll see at the end of this video, is I've made another batch of nachos using half of this, and then the other half I'm actually going to be doing some open burritos as well. So it's nice and easy. So then what I just do is I have the oven on the grill setting. I just put this on the second one below so you don't get a completely burnt top, and you just cook this until the cheese is melted, and then it looks like this. I know it doesn't look all that gourmet, but honestly, like when you entertain with people, it's more about spending time with them. It's a very friendly, approachable food, I find this, and it's just nice and easy to eat. You can add on whatever toppings. You can add on your own homemade guacamole if you want, own salsa if you want. You can do whatever you really want to do. And as you can see from this, it's kind of crumbly at the stage it is right now, but what I'll show you is, like, we like to use refried beans as well, so I actually stir through the refried beans in the cooking process as well, so you can actually get it a lot more coagulated, but in like a good way, so then you just get literal scoops of the nacho mix. I just added on salsa onto this one, and then by the time we actually had this meal again to do nachos the second time, I actually had a ripe avocado which I just mashed up, put that on top as well. But you can see this is with the refried beans, and you can definitely tell I, 1, overcooked this a little bit too much, and 2, it actually holds its shape a lot better. So when you've got it like this, you can actually have a lot more of a presentable thing, and it's a lot easier to eat. I mean, like, we enjoy it either way. That's why I just wanted to show you 2 different ways to do this. And it's so easy, so delicious. You get a whole bunch of vegetables, a whole bunch of protein. It's really good. I hope you love this, enjoyed this video, and thanks so much for watching.